What's up, guys? You are on the air and off the books with Beth Ann and Samantha, and today we are going to be talking about A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. We are only going to be discussing book one. Beth Ann and I and our boss, Justin, read this these past few weeks.
Samantha's read it a long time ago.
Yes.
And it's her favorite of all time, and she's been harassing me.
True.
I've been over and over again to read it.
Harassing pretty much everybody to read it. And even my hubs, he read it and he loved it. It's like his favorite series of all time.
Nolan loves everything, though. He is not a good judge. He loves all things.
He's not picky. He also really loves the Crave series, so...
I couldn't get into that one. I keep trying to get past that first book. And
you have to get like 50% through the first book, and then it stops being so YA.
Yes, and that's what was getting me, is like the rippling abs and like the, you know, like all that stuff. I was like, okay, all right, can we move on?
Yeah.
Or like the curve of his lips and the way they pout, and I can't handle it.
So ACOTAR, which is like the little, shortened version of Court of Thorns and Roses, so it is about a girl, and that's it. Just kidding.
That's all you get.
Okay, so ACOTAR is about a girl, and it starts off with a girl and her family that are living kind of...
in deep poverty, essentially.
Deep poverty. And
yes.
She and her sisters go to this market every so often to try to... the main girl, she hunts and stuff and tries to sell
like pelts and hunt for food and gather and things like that for the family. And she's the sole provider of the family, her two sisters and her father. Her mother is gone.
Yes. So she goes hunting one day, like she normally does, and she sees a wolf and a deer. And so she has to make the decision, okay, is she going to shoot the deer or is she going to shoot the wolf? So she decides to shoot this wolf, and in her mind, she's like, okay, this wolf is really big. It's probably a fey wolf. And so she just decides to shoot it anyway. And so she takes that pelt and she goes back home. And I believe she goes and she sells the pelt, right? At the market. And she gets like a whole bunch of money for it.
Yeah.
Because obviously the person knows it's not a regular wolf. So lo and behold, it was indeed a fey wolf. And all of a sudden this fey wolf beast breaks into their home and is basically like, who killed this wolf? Whoever killed this wolf, show yourself. Like, you're gonna die. So she confesses that she did it, and so this wolf person, who we don't know his name yet, says either you die now or you can come with me and live in the fey realm for the rest of your life. So
and thus begins the adventure.
Yes. So she decides to go to the fey realm with homeboy.
With Tamlin.
Yes. Name is Tamlin. And discovers that she has been taken to what is called the Spring Court, and basically all these fae are cursed with, they have like, I'm assuming like masquerade masks.
Yeah, that's what I envisioned it as.
Formed to their face.
And their power is drained and they're very weak.
Yes.
And it's essentially after that, it's kind of spoilery because it talks about how she adjusts to living there and what happens to her family and the relationship between, obviously it's a fantasy romance, and her relationship between a bunch of different characters in this book, and how she has to kind of defeat the big bad, essentially, to save, hopefully, what she feels is her future.
Yes.
And then that's about it, unless you want to spoil it.
Yeah, so, we can't say much more without spoiling it, but, I mean, do we want to spoil it or do we not want to spoil it?
Okay, so, it's a fantasy romance. and I did finish it. Shocker! I did. I stayed up to 1:30 and read the other half of the book. It took me literally over a month to read the first half, and then I finished the other one in half a night. Because I knew if I didn't get it read that night, then it wouldn't get read.
And I'm currently rereading the entire series. So it's a 5-book series. Well, technically 4 in a novella, but I count it as a 5-book series because I really love the novella.
What's the novella?
It's A Court of Frost and Starlight.
Oh.
And I think it's a really good addition. Like, I think that everybody should read it when they read the books. So if you're reading ACOTAR series, read A Court of Frost and Starlight.
Does it continue the series a little bit or wrap things up?
It kind of talks about, like, time in between the 3rd and the 5th book. Well, or the 3rd and the 4th book. And it's just kind of showing, like, Feyre's life at that time during what they know, what their Christmas is. I forget what their Christmas is.
The winter solstice.
Winter solstice, yes. So that book is mostly about winter solstice and, like, what her and her quote-unquote family is doing during that time. So I liked it. I thought it was just like, cute.
Like a little extra cute addition. It's not super sad or anything.
There's no really, like, super action. It's just like a little filler.
No, that's nice.
So definitely read that.
So I would... I'm in the middle right now because I'm upset. It's not a bad book. I think you should read it. And if you like fantasy romance, this hits fantasy very well, I think.
I would say this is definitely
the first book,
enemies to lovers trope.
Yes, I can see that now.
It's kind of a retelling. The first book is kind of a retelling of Beauty and the Beast.
Yes. And she really sets you up really hard for the rest of the series. And I've learned that you really have to read the entire series because it's like, it doesn't really separate itself. Because I was not prepared for, I don't know how to explain this.
Every book bleeds into the next book. You can't just stop and be like, okay, that's it.
I gave it a 3.6 out of 5. And that's not bad. But I think I'm really mad because
she's mad.
I have to spoil it right now.
She's mad about the main reason everybody's mad about the first book.
So she writes this book. Okay, you're going to have to stop here if you want to read this book. So just stop here because I'm about to rant. Okay, listen, because I can't describe this without rant. Okay, Tamlin is supposed to be this guy who she I loved them together. And it's not fair because
all the ACOTAR stans are giving you the ick.
Well, see, but I haven't read anything else. And she sets this book up. The entire 2/3 of the book is about this blossoming love story about how she's healing herself through painting and how Tamlin is, essentially allowing herself to be herself, and she's actually finding who she is, and they grow together, and they, literally become a thing. You know what I mean? They are together. And it's such a beautiful transition finally, because I didn't like Feyre in the beginning of the book. Yeah. I couldn't stand her. Yeah. She's very, but her background, her story, her family, oh God, her family. When you talk about character development, these people did a freaking 180, okay? They went from being the people I would like to plaster on the sidewalk to people that I'm like, okay, y'all right? You okay? They had the most change in character from beginning to the end of the book I've ever seen in my life. And I just feel so bad for Feyre because I found out after I finished the book that Tamlin is not even a good guy. And she sets you up to believe throughout this whole first book. And I don't care what you say. There are no signs that show me anywhere that he is a butthole, at all. He is, her lover, her friend, helped her transform herself, has invested himself in, her interests. And emotionally grow together, like all of these good things. And then all of a sudden, pa-chow, right in the face, like punch you right in your mouth. You know, you get under the mountain, and you finally, after 2/3 of the book...
Such a good scene.
Dude, after 2/3 of the book, you finally know the big bad, okay? Which she's kind of been, like, hinted around a little bit, but you don't really know.
Yeah, the big bad wolf of the book, besides Tamlin, is...
Dude, I'm so mad about
Amarantha,
that.
and she is the one that put the curse on everybody, and is why all these people... All these fae have these masks.
And when we
them.
say she's like the big bad, she's like gruesomely horrific.
Oh,
like,
just wait until book 2 and 3.
Is she alive?
Book 2, she is for sure.
Dude, I thought she died.
Did she die in book 1? See, okay. I can't really say anything because I found myself
They rip her throat out.
Okay.
And her everything. She's gone.
Okay.
But the
so
weird
now you're
adder...
going into...
Adder disappears.
I can't say anything because I read these books like a year ago, so I'm like currently rereading, and I tend to accidentally say stuff that's in the second book that I think might be in the first book.
Yeah. And so we also get, and this is when we're introduced to one of the Bat Boys, is what the fandom calls.
The Bat Boys.
Yes, and it's not Rysand.
The terrible
it's
trio.
Rhysand. Or I'm going to get my throat cut if I call him Rysand again. It's Rhysand.
Rhysand.
So I'm just going to call him Rhys because I hate the name.
Rhysy boy.
So he comes in. She has to sell her soul, essentially, to him. So he gets to have her for the rest of her life for 1 week every single month.
Yes.
My dude. Okay, listen to me. And he is the epitome of a bad man in this book. And so I'm so conflicted, so confused. I don't like him. I don't know what he's even trying to do, what he's trying to prove. I understand that he's saved his family and he's trying to save his court and all this other stuff. But at the same time, I don't understand why we can't just leave her alone with Tamlin so they can have a happy family with 2.5 kids and a picket fence. You know what I'm saying? Like if I stopped at book 1, this is where I'm at. If I stopped right now at book 1, I would be happy. And in my head, Tamlin and Feyre would live happily ever after with their children in the spring court for all of eternity, and nothing else bad would ever have to happen. And Rhys could just go find somebody else for his baddie ways.
I can't wait for you to read like all of like the things that Tamlin does like coming in the next book, and then you're gonna be like, why did I like this guy? Because that's how I was in the first book too. I was like, well, what about Tamlin?
But that's my thing is like, and he's not even the big bad. He's just a jerk. Like he's just set up to be that. I guess. Okay, so I guess
that
it's like
guy.
This love triangle situation happening. But even
of.
it's not really a love triangle because you said in the and we said we weren't going to talk about the next book, but here we are. You said in the next book she flees from him pretty quickly.
Things are revealed, and she realizes that.
And it makes me wonder if it's just because he finally has his magic back, so he gets a little cocky, and then he kind of loses himself a little bit. Because he was not that person in the first book. He really wasn't.
Yeah.
And that's what gets me so mad, is that it's just like, I just didn't see it coming much. I don't know. He
essentially said he like wanted to be with Feyre. In my very professional ACOTAR opinion, he wants to be with Feyre to break the curse, and that is the only reason.
But I see that at the beginning. I do, and that's explained. And I get that because he's trying to save his people. And I don't blame him for that because she was in defense of herself killing the wolf in the first place. I get that. Like, I get the angst and the animosity.
Okay, but you have to agree that Rhysand really came through saving Feyre's life in the last...
He did. But to me, he did that for his own devices as well.
No, and you'll see why.
But see, that's what I'm saying, is like, that's too twisty, because how is it that Tamlin didn't, or Rhysand didn't, but Tamlin did?
You'll see why.
Like, my thing is like, then, I'm about to spoil some more stuff, then it has to be that they're fated to each other.
I don't know.
Like, that has to be the explanation, because he would have known immediately in the way that these things work, like, as far as, like, this whole fantasy, like, romance situation. Because it's like a shifter thing, kind of, but not really. I think that's what they call it, right?
Are you talking about Tamlin? How he shifts
all
into
of
his
them
wolf
kind of do that a little bit.
Kind of.
So it's technically kind of like that. So there's like this whole like, you know, you were made for me, I love you, I see you across the room, you're mine situation, and these kinds of stories. So that just tells me that Rysand knew immediately when he saw Feyre, when he was being, huh? Oh, yeah. Okay, I'm probably always going to call him Rysand because I can't get out of my
I will
head.
say that I did call him Rysand until I like got on Book Talk and somebody said it's Rysand, and then I was like, okay, that. And I started like saying it when I was reading it, and then I was like, okay, yeah, this sounds a lot more normal.
It doesn't to me. It's like resand to the table to paint it. Like that's what I hear whenever you say it. But it was intriguing. I think I'm just so conflicted.
You have to at least read book 2.
But I'm not conflicted enough not to. I mean, I already have book 2 on hold. If that tells you anything. So I'm invested enough to be able to want to figure out, and I feel like I don't know why. I don't know if it's just because I was so gobsmacked when you had explained all of that to me after I finished it. Yeah. Because I would have went into book 2 never understanding that and being so let down and so disappointed and so angry.
She would have been on like book 5 like, what about Tamlin?
What about freaking Tamlin? So,
our stand-up boy Tamlin.
Dude, like, I would have been so distraught about it. And that's why you should get a friend who's willing to tell you spoilers.
Yes.
So you can get over it, and then you can go on. And I think my other thing with reading romance is that I just have to know if they're going to be together, because it almost makes me want to bash my face into the wall, because... you know, there's this back and forth, and like, I hate you right now, I don't want to be with you, but you know you're supposed to be together, and this like, da-da-da-da. Are they going to be together or not?
I have this really toxic trait where I get on fantastic fiction, which is like, it shows you like books and series, and it lists them all out. I'll get on fantastic fiction, and like, there will be a relationship forming in book 1 of a series, and I'll go to like the last book of the series to see if like they're still together, like in the description.
Because like, why go through all of that emotional investment in a couple, to me?
Yeah.
And then see Tamlin, Feyre.
See, okay, like I thought it was cute, like a cutesy romantic relationship, but then like as soon as like, okay, because you know you get the glimpse of Rhysand and Calanmai, which is like a I don't know, it's like this
like
giant
a weird
like love party
ritual situation.
Yeah,
it made sense, but it was kind of like, whoa.
So she's about to get like wooed by some random fae, and
yeah, a whole group of them.
This random man with violet eyes.
I knew it was him when he came around. I did know. I was like, okay, this is obviously.
I didn't know it was him while I was reading it at the time, but like after the fact, like when he comes in more into the story at the end, I was like, oh, that was Rhysand.
I think my problem is I knew enough about this from you talking to you,
that's
and
true.
like
You
from
didn't
seeing
go
it
in,
all
like,
over
completely
online.
blind.
I didn't. And knowing, like, because I cannot avoid it online. Like, it's everywhere. People love this series. Like, they fall over themselves for the series. So it's all over the place.
I did
know that it was him when it came up.
I think that you're really going to love book 2 and 3 because it's, like, super intense, like, action.
Yeah, the first book wasn't quite that. It was more of her, like, struggle as a human being. And the fact that she... I think I'm so also distraught is that she went through so much trauma already as a human being living with her family, and then going through these trials with Amarantha and doing these impossible tasks.
Fighting the Alaskan bullworm.
Yeah. Cue SpongeBob.
AKA the Men Garden worm.
I think that going through that and almost dying multiple times and having to make all these deals and essentially sell her soul to these people, and like, that's so much trauma for a person. Like, how does that not break you as an individual? Like, and the fact that she went through all of this for a man who essentially doesn't even love her for her, and you don't even realize that, like, because it's set up to make you believe that he does. Mm-hmm. And I'm just so angry. I'm so mad because how dare you? How very dare you, Tamlin, do this? Watch her go through this. watch her struggle, and then be a royal donkey.
Like, just wait.
Like, it's just like, I don't understand. And I'm worried that I'm going to get into book 2. And this is another reason why I don't like romance, because I don't appreciate the behavior. I don't appreciate the rudeness. I don't appreciate the the talk, the meanness and the ugliness. Like, I just really want to reach my hands in and yank people's heads off. Like, I'm going to get so mad I'm not going to be able to finish it.
There's, like, one part, and I think it's in book 2. I can't wait for you to read it. But, like, Tamlin basically, like, they're having, like, a High Lord meeting at the Night Court. And it might be at the Spring Court or the Night Court. I forget. Doesn't matter. But they're having a High Lord meeting. And Tamlin basically, like, calls Feyre, like, a slut in front of, like, Rhysand and the Bat Boys. Oh, my gosh. That's, like, one of my favorite scenes. I can't wait for you to read it.
See, this is why I can't read romance, too. This is the other reason. It's not just because it's, like, so cliche, but also because, like, when these people say and do these things to other people, it enrages me. Like, how dare you talk to her like that? Like, I just get so furious.
Yeah.
That I have to, like, skip around, like, to see. Like, I'm like, okay, I gotta know. If you're not gonna be together, I'm putting you down. Like,
Tamlin's just always trying to one-up Rhysand. And, like, you already, like, I'm not gonna spoil this part, but, like, you already did him so dirty. Like, why are you continuously trying to, like, be better than him?
I think if I start the next book and I get some clarification more about, like, it's got to be the fact that they're restored to their full power, that he realizes that the worst of it is over and now he can go back to being, like, who he was before. Because some people don't learn their lessons.
Yeah, by book 2, Tamlin's just like, I just want you because you're Rhysand's. And that's, like, that's the only vibes that I get.
That is so interesting to me because he really did feel like he loved her in the first book. Like, he really did care for her and go after her and everything like that. So if, you know, Rhysand never had come about, would he have cared or would he have just, like, gotten bored? Like, you know what I mean? Like,
I think
after the excitement and everything, was it going to be boring now?
Yeah, she would have been like the
prize.
Yeah, she would have been like the prize, the, like, put your head down, don't talk when I'm talking wife.
That's just so interesting because he does, and it's possible that because of everything that they had been through for 50 years of, like, their entrapment with all of the magic, that he possibly was so beaten down and thought he may never come out, so he was willing to invest in this, and then he actually did kind of fall for her a little bit. But he's so proud, maybe, that he, after everything was said and done, he couldn't let it go. I just feel like I have to dig so deep to justify him being such a bad guy, and it makes me so upset. I think that's why I'm just so irritated with the first book. I don't know. We'll have to see what I give the next one.
I can't wait for you to read the next one. Our boss Justin did really like the first one.
He's also Team
Rhysand. I can't wait for him. If he ever reads the second one, you know, I'm impatiently waiting. I can't wait to see what they both think.
I think he said he's, like, reading 2 books right now. He's actually reading a recommendation for me, and he's kind of concerned for my mental health, I think. I probably shouldn't have recommended it to him. But I love that book, and it's so freaking funny. I skipped around a bunch of parts because I don't really like romance.
Yeah.
I skipped over some things, and he was just like, do they ever stop talking about, like, how much they love each other? And I'm like, I didn't really realize they talked about all that because I kind of blocked it out. Oh, gosh. I just kind of skipped over some of that and read, like, the main parts, but I don't even think do we own the book? We do own the book. The Clockwork Boys by T. Kingfisher. Comedy, romance, action, horror, thriller, all of it.
All of the above?
All of the above. It's a simple read. It's technically a cozy fantasy. So if you're interested in things like that, that's a duology that you should read. If you don't mind a little, like, a conflicted paladin who falls in love with a thief.
Yeah.
So, but I don't read it for that. I read it for Caliban because he's freaking hilarious.
Caliban.
But Caliban the Paladin.
If you have already read ACOTAR and you really liked it, I would suggest reading the Crave series by Tracy Wolff or like The Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. I'm currently rereading, for nostalgia purposes only, House of Night series. I actually don't think that I even like read past book 1, but like I've been staring at that book for at least 10 years.
Is that a Sarah J. Maas book as well?
No, House of Night is PC Cast and Kristen Cast.
Gotcha.
It was like super popular when I was like in middle/high school. So I'm reading that right now. It's just kind of like an easy YA, like fantasy kind of romance I see happening.
Also, a House of Beating Wings we're going to be reading eventually. Yep. Don't quote us. We don't have times for you, but that is like an ACOTAR recommendation people are using.
Yeah, and we're hopefully going to try to get that into the library so we can actually read that.
Oh, we don't have it?
No, I don't think so.
Huh. I thought we did. My apologies.
Because you requested it yesterday.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. I forgot. Well, if it gets to the library, then we are going to allow it, or we're going to do a podcast on it and try to, maybe we can do some comparisons with ACOTAR. I read the first chapter already, and I do really like it. Yeah. The first chapter is great. This one is a lot more, like, world building than ACOTAR is. And it's a little bit more, it's actually a lot more bleak. Like, it's a lot darker at the beginning and really, really sad. So we'll see. I think that this one is, instead of like in ACOTAR, it's the Bat Boys. This one, it's crows.
Yes.
So, we'll see. I am looking forward to the action in this one because there's already been some in the first chapter.
And the art for the book is so pretty.
Yeah, you ordered 2 copies of that fancy release. So I was able to snag one and take it home and read it, even though I bought it online already, which
I did too.
But that means I can read it wherever now, which I like. But
yes,
I'm in a really big like book buying thing right now.
Me too.
Which is not great.
It's a problem.
It's a problem. But hopefully we'll be able to get that in and talk about that later. And if we don't, sorry, but there's a recommendation for you.
Yes.
If you use Kindle Unlimited.
But also another good recommendation, a series that I could probably reread a billion times, Vampire Academy by Rochelle Mead, and we do have that entire series here at the library. It's a really good series. They actually they have a movie out. Everybody like really hated it. I thought it was good just for like YA. It's very YA, so like for the kind of book that it was, the movie was decent. But they just remade the series on, I think it was like Peacock or something. If you have Peacock, I don't know. They remade that series into like an adult TV show. So I really, really liked it. And it unfortunately got canceled. But a lot of people really, really liked it. But everything's getting canceled. Everything that's good, you know.
Also, you should email us and tell us about how your reading goals for the month. We've been doing a little bit of sharing around here about how many books we've read every month, and so far for the month of March, I think you're on 10, and I'm on.
I'm on
for the
10
year.
I'm on 11 for 2023.
Yes, 11 for 2023, and right now I'm on 17.
I think for March, I've read like 5 or 6 so far.
Yes, I've read 5 for March so far. I can't believe it.
Yeah, I'm hoping to read the whole House of Night series in March/April. We shall see. I have to read, actually next week on our podcast, next week, I say that loosely. Next episode of our podcast, we are going to be talking about Hidden Pictures by Jason Recolleck.
Yeah. And that's going to air April
20th.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is more of a kind of like transitioning back to like horror crime.
This is horror crime psychological thriller.
Yes.
And it is an adult book.
Yes.
So pick that up now. Read it. I would recommend, so in my opinion, I listened to it and I read some of it, but in my opinion, if you prefer reading a book, read this one because there are actually pictures in this particular book, and I think
hidden
it would be
pictures.
and I think it would be a better experience for you as a reader if you read it as a book, but the audiobook is actually really good as well. You're just not going to get the full thing, so I'm going to go back and look through some of the pictures in the actual physical copy to prepare for that episode, because I actually read it last year when it came out, surprisingly.
She's ahead of the game.
I was, which is odd for me. So, yeah, we'll tell you our thoughts about that next week. I won't even begin to talk about it because I won't stop.
Yeah, and then a few weeks after that, we're going to be reading The Measure with our boss, Trisha.
Yes.
And that should be really fun. She kind of told us a little bit about the book, and it seems to be really cool. But we will talk about that on that episode.
And that's a general fiction. It's also adult fiction. It's something that we haven't really read or dabbled in. So that'll be something new to try to pay attention to. Pick that book up as well.
Yes. So, once again, come into the library. Check out ACOTAR. We have it physical copies on the shelf. Yeah. We've got it, I'm sure, on Hoopla
Libby and Overdrive. We have ebooks, audiobooks. You can even check out like the first 3 books at a time, like in one go. Like we have it literally everywhere.
Yes.
And I might actually just listen to the rest, but
yeah. And if you really love Sarah J. Maas and you've read ACOTAR, haven't like read any of her other series, she wrote a YA series, Throne of Glass.
Yes.
She also wrote the new adult series that's not finished yet. I think there are 2 more books coming out. Crescent City, I believe. So I read the first 2 books of the Crescent City series, and book 2 does connect to ACOTAR, and it was really cool. So I think that it will be continuing and morphing those worlds together.
One.
Yeah.
That's pretty neat.
That was really cool.
Like a crossover.
Yes. Definitely email us at offthebooks@khcpl.org and tell us what you think about ACOTAR. Tell us what you think about any of these other books that we've recommended.
Or recommend to us some things to read, because we are always looking for new and upcoming things.
Even if we might not have it at the library, still recommend it. We can always request books
to be purchased so that we can have them available for you to read, because the goal is for you to come and read and enjoy all the things.
If there is a book series that's similar to ACOTAR, you really, really, really need the library to get it, tell us. We will request it for you.
Yes.
In hopes of getting it on the shelf. So, yes. So, hope you guys have a great rest of your week, and we will see you in a few weeks.
Bye.